will be watching these ministers closely.
Minister of Federal Republic, you are not minister of a region or minister of a particular state. Implementing the agenda upon which I campaigned and far mandate of Nigerian people, about to accelerate our governing efforts in our best aspiration for Nigeria. It's all about a great team, and I believe we have here. It is hard to be chosen to serve as a minister in the Federal Executive Council of our beloved republic. With such high honor comes tremendous responsibility. In this moment of abundant promise and peril in equal measure, all of you who have been sworn in have been called to distinguish yourself. It is me who know you. And delegates this authority. But the greatest number of Nigerians are highly expectant of delivery and accountability and transparency. Nigeria expects that you will serve with integrity, dignity, and deliver. I will hold you to that standard. We all promise Nigerians. Your assignment began immediately. As your country honors you today, by this call to service, you must each work to make yourselves worthy in the eyes of God and all our nation's people.
If you know you have developed where you're not supposed to develop, your house must go what? Down. Those who have taken over the green areas to build, sorry, our parks must come back. The green areas must come back. If you hate green, you must hate yourself. So if you know you have anybody who is involved that have taken over the green areas, have taken over the parks, to where you now do restaurants, no, we will not accept that. Sorry. If your father has done that, sorry. If your mother has done that, sorry. There's nothing I can do. It will go down. And all these people are doing land racketing. I'll talk to the staff tomorrow. There are a lot of people involved. And let me tell you, that period of land racketing is what? Over. And those that government are giving CFO land, allocated land to them, they refuse to develop. And they are becoming land speculators. The land is gone. I'm going to revoke them. I will revoke. Because I don't understand how your government will give you land to develop, then you keep the land land that you may have paid for 200,000. You're not beginning to find who will buy it for 2 billion and 3 billion. Who does that? We'll take back our land and give it to those who want to develop. And you must sign that you must develop at so time. So if you are part of those who have been getting such land, it will come back to us. And some people are saying, oh, Abuja is not doing this, Abuja is not doing that. Those of you who also refuse to pay a ground rent, non-payment of ground rent is a breach of covenant. I don't need to write you to pay. You know this word as well. You are like a tenant. At the end of the month, you are supposed to pay social amount, for example, and then you say, oh, my landlord has done everything to me. No, it doesn't make sense. But Abuja needs money too, is it not? Part of the revenue or source of revenue is ground rent. So if you have not paid, be it national, whatever you call it, banco, anywhere, big man, sorry.
That seems to be Wike's favorite word today. He just kept saying sorry, sorry, sorry. We have a guest that we're trying to get in contact with, Jide Ojo. He is an analyst, and he'll help us understand just how significant, this inauguration of these 45 ministers who have been sworn in, just how important that is to Nigeria as a whole. Because some people have talked about the fact that, it's because we didn't have some of these ministers on ground. That's why the president was making some of the decisions that he seemed to have been making. Good evening to you, Jide Ojo, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, even though it was somewhat late. But thank you so much for joining us regardless.
A pleasure.
All right. We're looking at this swearing in of 45 ministers. Just how important is it for Nigerians at this point in time, seeing as it took the president this long to get to this particular destination? Just how important is the swearing in of these ministers?
It's very important. It's very it's a red letter day for Nigeria because as it were, we now have the government paneled. The government is now fully in place, and governance can now take off at a supersonic speed. As you said in your background, the challenge is all this while, for the past 84 days, the president has been running the administration not like a sole administrator, but like a caretaker committee chairman, working with some, when you say the of special advisors, I'm not sure the advisors are even up to 15, about 14 or 12 as it were. In fact, out of those, now they have about 3 of them that have been upgraded into the ministerial position. Musawa from Katsina, Bela Lake from Ogun State, and Wale Edun, who is now the Minister of Finance. So these are the people who have been running the government together with the Secretary to the Federal Government as well as the Chief of Staff. But now the cabinet is fully in place. You now know who to hold responsible for Naira dancing Awilo Logomba. Now that we have a finance minister, you now have a minister of budget and economic, the budget and national planning. You understand? So you now know that the security chiefs are also now going to be oversighted by the Minister of Defense and then the Minister of State for Defense. Then you have the Ministry of Police Affairs that will now be superintending over the Police Service Commission and then the entire police force, including the Police Equipment Trust Fund. So, long story short, it's a welcome development, although coming 84 days after inauguration, does not really gladdens my own heart. because what this president told us was that he was going to hit the ground running. And if you are supposed to hit the ground running, you don't hit the ground running 84 days after your inauguration and said you have hit the ground running. Don't also forget, Gesire, that this man was declared president-elect way back on March 1, 2023. That was after the election of February 25. But March 1, he already was president-elect. And I would have thought that from that March 1, with all the euphoria of winning the election, and by April 15, when all the elections have been concluded, and you now know how many governors your party has, consultation about possible persons that will be in your cabinet. Because I know that there is a very good chance that the president don't know 10 out of those 45 people at a close quarters. You understand what I'm saying? Many of them are not known quantities at the national level. But that's not to say that they are not prominent in their state. For instance, the acting chairman of APC, who is now Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, was several times commissioners in Borno State. But how many people know who is a commissioner in Borno in Abuja here? How many people know who is, if not for the fact that during the screening, that's when we know that the lady who is the commissioner for finance in Imo State is now our Minister of Trade and Investment, because according to her, it was Senator Opus-Odema, our governor, that nominated her. So what I'm saying invariably is that this is coming late, but better late than never. And of course, when we say it's coming late, that's given the fact that we already have a altered constitution that says that any president or governor are supposed to have their cabinet latest within 60 days of inauguration. So within that 60 days, remember that what happened on the 58th day was the quick submission of 28 names. 28 out of the nominees, not even the entire nominee. 28. It was after the 68 days had been crossed that the other 19 names were submitted. So, but like we said, when you compare what we currently see and what happened under Buhari in 2015, where the cabinet was not in place until around October, then we know that this is even something worth celebrating. But more importantly now, we are 84 days into this government. In another 16 days, barely 2 weeks, we will be talking of 100 days of 100 days of Tinubu administration. So how much can these current ministers, how much can they contribute within the very limited period before the 100-day mark? It all depends on how well they can also hit the ground running, using the popular phrase, eating the ground running. Even though many of them are in their 50s, few are in their 60s.
But also how they will fare running.
Running in a physical sense, but metaphorically, we hope that their impact could be felt within the next 1 month or so.
Okay, the president made a statement. He talked about the fact that that they have a lot of expectations, especially from Nigerians, looking at the tide that is in Nigeria at this point in time. So they have a lot of expectations, and he's saying that he's going to watch them closely. But I'm wondering just how the president intends to do so, because these are individuals who must have served in different capacities all over Nigeria, whether whether privately or in the public scene. However, they must have served in different capacities, and we just begin to wonder just how effective will they be, looking at the fact that some ministers, I probably can't even mention some maybe I know maybe a couple of the past ministers. Some of them I don't even remember their names because of how inefficient they were during the past administration. Just a couple you can name maybe on your two hands, but just how effective are we hoping to see these new ministers?
Well, the truth is that, please, let's not make the mistake that because somebody is not making some bites and is not in the media space, then they are not effective. Well, people have different leadership styles, if you get my drift. The fact that some people are very on the quiet side, but they are very efficient in their cocoon. So it's not everybody that will be like Wike that will always engage the media, and more so, don't forget, every cabinet have their own spokesperson. So you remember, I'm sure that you will not forget Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who was the Minister of Information and Culture, and of course working with Mr. Femi Adesina and Malam Garba Shehu. So those are the eyes and the face of Buhari administration. So for some other people, they are just media shy. They don't want people to know what they are doing. But it's not that they are not efficient. So I think we need to clear that. But how efficient can the current cabinet be? It all would depend on how well resourced they are. Am I communicating? How well resourced would they be? I have granted several media interviews today. In fact, this is my 6th today alone. And I've said time and again on each of those platforms, I said it. You cannot make a brick without straw. And you cannot make an omelette without making an egg. So, let me give you an instance. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. It's unprecedented. We never had that before.
Definitely.
We have never, and now it has come. And as it is, you now have to create space. You now have to post people as a comment to that ministry. And some of these new ministries do not yet have a budget. Am I communicating? Because as at the time 2023 budget was sent to the National Assembly in October last year, there was nobody that said that there will be a ministry of
gas resources,
blue economy, or marine and blue economy, or tourism. Even the ministry of tourism, or ministry of arts, entertainment, and whatever they put the lady from Katsina, Musawa in, or even the so-called. Did you know that in this administration now we have 2 ministers of police affairs, 1 male, 1 female, and now I have my own worry. You know, you already have a constitutional body called Police Service Commission, and that is the one that is constitutionally recognized. And the overhead that is now going to be spent on police, Minister of Police Affairs, this kind of resources ought to have been used to strengthen the Police Service Commission, whose schedule and whose modus operandi is already highlighted in the Constitution. But now, for political conveniences and expediencies, the President has deemed it fit to now bring back Ministry of Police Affairs and still now have a male and a female in that ministry. Now, look at the what I'm saying in essence is that we now have a bloated cabinet. And yesterday, the Punch newspaper of yesterday, I don't know if you get to read it, said on accommodation alone, Nigeria will be running 1.37 billion in accommodation for these 45 people in 4 years. Now, that is putting it succinctly. You have not talked about their salaries, their allowances, their extra codes. And what bothers me most now is that the outgone administration of Buhari had 28 ministries. That number has now increased to between 30 and 35, because like under Buhari you have Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. Remember,
but it's been
now
split.
they have split it. They have split it into Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Budget and National Planning. Now you have Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Now they have requested that retaining humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation, but you now have Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, whatever that means. What does Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, what does that mean? Yeah, I think in previous times, that social welfare used to be under the Ministry of Women Affairs, or a kind of directorate under Ministry of Women Affairs. But this administration now, as we pointed out, you now separated youth from sports. So you now have an independent Ministry of Youth as different from Ministry of Sports. You understand? Now, as I've said, you now have to create spaces for these new ministries. And you now have to look for resources to fund their activities before the end of the year. Because as it were, they do not have a budget. They don't have budget. So how do you, all this glamour and glitz, they will now be looking for which space to create for them, where the minister's office will be. They will now have to be doing procurement to buy furniture, to buy this and that. And you know the process of government, it does not work fast. They have to follow due process, what is it called? Bureau of Public Procurement have to certify and all of that. So even if the money is readily available, these are, the state of even the federal secretariat. I'm glad you are in Abuja. If you've ever visited federal secretariat, go and use their convenience and see whether they have water in their toilets, whether their elevators are working, whether they have constant electricity, whether they have enough spaces for the staff of the ministries. So these are challenges. You cannot start building new offices in August or September 2023 for ministers that are already inaugurated. So you now have them struggling for space. Or maybe at the worst case scenario, they will now have to go and rent private offices for them. Because that would be the fastest way to get them settled down. You understand? Maybe you just look for one shopping mall or one of those buildings that are lying fallow. But that will cost an arm and leg. But what I'm mindful of is how quickly can these people settle down?
Exactly.
For those who already have offices, who like former Governor Wike now already went to address press in his new office at the at FCT. So, but where will Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, where will he go after leaving the inauguration venue? They have to start looking for spaces for where will be his own temporary office, spending and then the money. And this is where I have worry that we are talking of smart governance across the world. In US president has only 15 secretaries, which is equivalent of our own ministers. But Nigeria, that does not have the GDP, that does not have the per capita income of US, is having about 50 ministers. To do what? And one thing I need us to also understand, you asked me a question about how well can they perform, and I'm telling you that it depends on how well resourced they are. And resources does not mean only funds. It also means manpower. How quickly can they get them the full complement of manpower that will be needed? Then, of course, you also will need physical office space as well as money to run the offices. So all of this will take a bit of time. So the earliest time we can actually see all of them performing optimally will be first quarter of 2024. Which next month? No, first quarter
year,
of 2024.
next year.
Yes. So because then, and this is assuming that right now the Minister of Finance and Minister of Budget and National Planning, they have to engage in sleepless nights trying to couple and put together the budget for 2024. Are you with me? So while others are even grappling with office space, you cannot toy with those two ministries now that have been split, because they need to start putting the 2024 budget together, so that by the time the Senate and National Assembly as administration, by the time they resume in September, the budget will be ready for presentation. So the luxury of time is not just there. Are you with me? There is no luxury of time, because as it were now, we have already waited so long to have the budget, to have the cabinet in place. So the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister for Economy, Wale Edun, as well as the Minister of Budget and National Planning, what is his name, former governor of Kebbi State. They now have to quickly sit down and formulate and fashion out budget for 2024. And now that's when you see full provisioning, budget provisioning for all of the 20 or 30 something ministries that we have now. I don't know the specific number now, because we need to do plus and minuses. Some of them are split, some of them are merged, some of them are newly created, some of them are just change of nomenclature. So one has to do the head count. How many ministries do we have now? But the irony of it is that for an economy that we say is too bloated, for a bureaucracy that we say is too bloated, you still want to, the Oseni Committee on merger and acquisition, way back in 2011 was talking about having a smart government, a lean government, lean and efficient. But here we are now increasing the number. I heard over the weekend that we now have that before this inauguration, there are 1,483 or thereabouts ministries, departments, and agencies of federal government. 1,483. So just imagine all of this. We are trying to see how they can be merged for efficiency, for effectiveness. Now the president has increased the number of people who will be sitting in cabinet now will be over 50, because apart from the 48 ministers, you now have to include the president and the vice president. That's already maybe 50. Then the secretary to the federal government, then the chief of staff, then the head of service, then the chairman of federal civil service commission. I don't know whether the special advisors too will be sitting in cabinet. So at the end of the day, you may even be having about 60 to 70 people sitting everywhere. There are federal executive council meeting. Yes, because it's not just the ministers that are cabinet. The secretary to the federal government is part of the cabinet. The chief of staff to the president is part of the cabinet. The head of service is part of the cabinet. The president and the vice president are part of it. So if the president now decides that, okay, my special advisors too, I need you to have a table, to have a seat at the table in the cabinet, you can then just imagine cacophony of voices. Even when you want to have fake meetings that should be done in 2-3 hours may end up being a whole day.
Wow.
because it will be so tiring for everybody, because it's not like you are going to be having sectoral set meeting. I don't know if you get my drift. You are not going to be having, we are having set meeting for Ministry of Education, Health and Power this week. Then next week it will be the turn of Ministry of Tourism.
It's always all of them at once.
It will be all of them sitting at once. So just imagine if there are about 20 memos to be decided. So the length of time that you even need to debate thoroughly and to come to agreement on memos will now be more. And these are not youth in government. These are people in the average age of many of them is media age. The way I see it is about 55. There are those who are above 55. There are those who are below 55. But the media age, because the average is 55. So you have someone like Dele Alake who is about 66. You have someone like Beta Edu is about 36. So you understand, you can see the wide difference. So what eventually will play out is how the question we should be asking ourselves this is how effective can the president Tinubu be at the age of 71 to superintend over this kind of fight?
Wow.
That mini cabinet.
All right.
At 71. And don't forget, it's not only the president, he has also more or less, even though he was silent on it in his speech, he has more or less put himself as the Minister of Petroleum Resources. That is another. Then he is now the Chairman of Authority of Federal State of ECOWAS for the next 1 year.
So that's a lot of responsibility on his head.
A lot of responsibility. So that's the more reason it does not need a huge cabinet. Because I'm asking, what is the wisdom? What is the wisdom in having two ministers in the Ministry of Police Affairs when you already have Ministry Police Service Commission, which is even a federal executive body recognized by the Constitution? Do you need Minister of Police Affairs again? Yeah. So right. You now have also two ministers in defense. Meanwhile, please watch out for this Gesiri. Watch out for what will transpire between Badaru and Matawali. Because now these are two former governors that you have put together as Minister of Defense and Minister of State Defense. And you know, the Minister of State is a junior minister. Even in terms of remuneration, even in terms of allowances that they receive, they don't receive the same amount. So when you have two elephants in the room, you can just imagine whether there will be no suffering of the gas. Because you now put two former governors, one former governor of Jigawa, Abi. I think it's former governor of Jigawa, there's Badaru, and then the former governor of Zamfara as Minister of Defense and Minister of State Defense. And did you know that none of the 45 people we have in cabinet have military experience or police or security? You know, there was a time we have Lieutenant General Dan Bazao, who was a former chief of army staff as Minister of Interior. Do you know? So, but now we don't even have people with that kind of security background as in the cabinet. So they will have to rely heavily on the permanent secretary and the civil servants
in the
to guide them in the ministry.
All right, let's just take a break. Let's pay some bills. When we come back, we'll be looking at this holistically, right? Some people have talked about the fact that this is a money-making venture for the president for Nigeria, seeing as he put some strategic ministries that were not there that could actually fetch the country a lot of money. But seeing the way you've broken it down, We'll juxtapose both of them and see just how it affects Nigeria. And note that we are live on YouTube. It is at VOP961. VOP961. If you've got questions, do well to send them to 0700 010 961 961. I'll take that again. 0700 010 961 961. Send your questions or your contributions to that number on WhatsApp 0700 010 961 961. Pay some bills and then we'll be back in just a moment. Voice of the People, 96.1 FM.
The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream. Nice. Let's go. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream. At number 4, Obomosho Street, Area 8, Gediki, Abuja, or 3rd Avenue, Gwaripa, Abuja, or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at romaspizza.ng. Website www.romaspizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. Are you traveling to Lagos and desire the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at
8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me.
Variety is the spice of our station.
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja. Now, you have a voice.
You're welcome back. This is still What's Hot on Voice of the People 96.1 FM, and we've been talking to our guest analyst in the studio this via telephone rather. Jide Ojo joins us via telephone for our conversation. We're looking at the huge portfolio of ministers. We're having 45 ministers right now with about more than 30 ministries, and just looking at how robust and how just how big that might be for the president to handle. Welcome back, Jide Ojo.
It's my pleasure.
All right, just to reiterate, you can join the conversation 0700 010 961 961. We are also live on YouTube at VOP 961. Join us and let's have a conversation about our ministers. Jide Ojo, before we went on a break, we were talking about just how big the cabinet might end up being and how that might be a huge responsibility for the president to handle, coupled with other portfolios that he's also handling, seeing as he's the chairman of the ECOWAS and a couple of others that might come as a whole. Looking at that and still looking at the fact that he created new ministries like tourism, for example. Some people have talked about the fact that this tourism is a money-making venture that, should it work the way it has been intended to, would generate nothing less than about 7 trillion naira yearly for Nigeria, which we know that revenue generation has been a problem for the country. So what exactly do you think about this? Looking at the fact that you've mentioned some of the downsides of this huge cabinet that we're seeing right now.
So, this issue of, there are some money making, even the marine and blue economy is also another money making ministry. Then we have the Ministry of digital economy, communications and innovation. The one that Bosun Tijani is heading, that is also money making. But it all depends on how you harness these potentials. They are all potentials, and potentials are latent. Until when you harness them, you don't get the full benefit. And let me speak to tourism. Tourist sites in Nigeria, many of them are moribund, many of them are comatose. I, speaking with you yesterday, have visited many of Nigeria's tourist sites across the country. I've been to Yankari Game Reserve. I've been to the waterfall here on the way to Kaduna. What's the name of this waterfall? No, it's not dam. It's waterfall. This one on the way to Kaduna, there's one there. I've been there. I've been to Ikogosi in Ekiti State. I've been to, the Tinapa. I've been to Budukato Ranch. I've been almost in many of the, or most of the tourist sites in Nigeria. But the number one challenge to tourism in Nigeria is security. I've been to Budukato Ranch 2 times on official assignment. That is one place that if we have revived, if the Cross River State Governor had succeeded in reviving that to the cattle ranch, could have been a money spinner not only for Cross River State but for the entire country, which we have in the country. Because that is back of the way. There is Baby Air Strip, which is underperforming. I'm not sure whether there's any aircraft even going to that airscape again. Then if you want to travel to Obodo from Abuja, you go through Benue State, through Vandekea down to Obanliku and all of that. Now the roads are terribly bad. And as bandits are picking people like slaves for kidnapping, for ransom. So how do you go to these tourist sites when there is no assurances of safety and security? So that is going to militate, because tourism cannot be done virtually. You have to see. They say seeing is believing, isn't it? So when you want to go on tourist sites, and that's what tourism is all about. Okay, we have Osogbo festival that is taking place, or I don't know whether it has taken place. It usually takes place every August.
It's finished.
It's finished. You have all this New Year festival in the southeast and all of that. But okay, look at the activities of unknown government. Even the Igbos that usually will travel for New Year festival, how many of them can go for New Year festival celebration again? How many of them can go and do all the traditional stuff that they use, even for Christmas and New Year, stay in Abuja or stay in Lagos, and fly their loved ones to come and meet them in Abuja or in Lagos, rather than them going because of fear of being abducted, because of fear of insecurity. So that is the number one challenge that sector will face. But it's not like we should give up, because again it has to do with a lot of innovation. There could be a innovative way to get to revive the tourism sector, to ensure that it enhances. We are able to fully utilize we are able to maximize the opportunities there. But all the ministries that we have, they are interdependent. Are you with me? Ministry of Health or Education cannot function without Ministry of Finance and Budget and National Planning. So they are all interdependent. It all depends. You may have very bright idea, very brilliant idea, but for specifically for tourism, which has to do with physical presence and not just watching film or doing things virtually, unless the security situation of the country improves, that minister may not achieve much, no matter how brilliant ideas may be. Even for the entertainment sector, did you know that some of our entertainers, there was a last year of the was kidnapped on our way back from location. That kind of thing does not inspire confidence for people who want to ply their trade. So if they are able to improve the security situation significantly, it will percolate to improve even agriculture, to improve tourism, to improve other aspects of governance, including education, including health. Look at the professor in Cross River State that have been kidnapped for over 1 month now. She's yet to be released. A professor who was abducted from her clinic. I don't know whether you heard about it in Cross River State. How does that inspire confidence? As a medical practitioner, can you go to work with assurances of your safety and security? So the most impactful variable to performance of this new minister is security. And if we are able to overcome the security challenge, the issue of food security will be resolved, the issue of physical security will be resolved, the issue of tourism will improve. People love to have fun. They want to visit all these tourist sites and do selfies and do videos and take. But situations where I recall that there was this tourist place in Kaduna State, one white man, or I don't know whether it's a white man or white woman, and the tour guide were both abducted and murdered by bandits in the southern Kaduna. Those people came, they went there for the Nok culture, they want to see the Nok culture in southern Kaduna, and they were abducted, quite unfortunately. So the security has a lot to do with the performance of whoever will be the Minister of Tourism, because it's tourism, at least unless I don't know the definition of tourism. Tourism beyond what you watch in films is something that you feel, you touch, something that you want to experience, and in experiencing it, you must feel safe. You must also know that and it has to be, the cost benefit must be reasonable. You cannot price it out of the reach of ordinary citizens if you really want it to be worthwhile. Until the tenure of Governor El-Rufai in his, I think it is, whether it's first or second tenure, because the one spring resort was moribund. It was the one that revived it, and today is thriving, and we need more of that tourist site being developed.
All right. I think it will be this conversation will be incomplete without having to mention the minister, the new sheriff in town, the minister of the FCT, Wike. We know that, seeing what Abuja, the FCT was supposed to be like, and we saw that dwindle after Nasir El-Rufai's, after his tenure, we saw that sort of dwindle and then fade away. We didn't see a lot of, activities within the past administration. Now, seeing a Wike and the statement, his speech today, he kept saying sorry to every single person who might be erring in one way or the other, and how the FCT is going to take back some of the lands and all that. What exactly do you think about just how effective a Wike will be? We know how he is, we know his temperament and just how he functions, but this is the FCT. Will it be able to fly here in the FCT?
The only person who can rein in a Wike is the president, because he fears nobody and he does not do this, and is very comfortable financially, having served as governor of Rivers State for 8 years,
and minister
and a former minister for about 4 years, and a former chief of staff, a former local government chairperson. So he's been in the corridor of power for a very long time, for over 20. In fact, since 1999, he's been in the corridor of power, both at the local, state, and then the federal. So he's not somebody who you can dangle money on and say, okay, please forgive me. He meant every word he has spoken, but he needs to tread very carefully, because there will be a lot of lawsuits against him and against the FCT if he engages in illegality in terms of bringing down people's property without due process. And he has also been very explicit. He said if you do not have the right documentations, or you have gone to build on Greenland and committed any illegality. So for those who have genuine papers, who have done the right thing, they don't have anything to fear. We all, at least, even my own small plot of land that I bought in Airport Road, went for it, because he recovered those lands from the baggy people. So we expect, and every same person will know that Abuja is fast deteriorating in terms of infrastructure, in terms of discipline, in terms of even the quality of governance. So we need somebody to raise the bar, but I will appeal to him that he should pay more attention to the satellite towns. Not all of us can afford to live in the city centers. I don't know where you live today, but I live in one of the satellite towns, and the state of infrastructure is very appalling. The road network is very bad, and we do not have pipe water, we do not even have constant electricity. So he needs to see to that it's not just people in Atokoro, people in Wuse, people in Matama, people in Guzape that will feel the impact of his governance. Because to me, I feel that those places I've mentioned are overdeveloped. Too many flyovers, they are even in unnecessary places. too many roads, too many paved roads and all of that. But we also need the attention in the satellite town where many of us live. For those of us who are not even commuting from outside of Abuja, you know that there is a daytime population and nighttime population in FCT. So people who comes from Nasarawa State, people who comes from Niger State, people who comes from Kogi State to come and work and go back. So you need to factor that. But for those of us who live in satellite communities, we need the attention of this administration to help us fix the state of infrastructure, the dilapidating state of infrastructure, particularly road. The road network is terrible. If you are not using SUV in many of our satellite communities, you can't even enjoy living in Abuja, because your car will definitely be having issues with every week, because the roads are terribly bad. And given the state of insecurity, you can't park. In fact, there are people I know who park in their friend's house and take bike to their own house because the road to their own house is impassable. So you can just imagine. So we need that kind of thing to be fixed, the infrastructure in the satellite towns, even as we fix the issue of waste disposal, the issue of corner shops, the issue of the facilities, and even security is number one priority, even FCT. You agree with me that many people are nightlife in Abuja is now at the lowest step because of fear of being mobbed or being robbed or being kidnapped. So he needs to help us restore that confidence and restore, security and improve on the infrastructure in Abuja.
All right, 0700 010 961 961. That is the number to call to be a part of the conversation. 0700 010 961 961. Apologies, I'm seeing a lot of missed calls. Duels call back 070 0010 961 961. And finally, Jide Ojo, we know that the Minister of Works, the former Minister of Works, Fashola, he is one minister who a lot of people at least saw what he was doing. We saw the dividends of some of the things that he did. We saw the roads that he created. Just how much of a task is it going to be for a David Umahi, seeing as he had a lot of, that's Fashola had a lot of help from Sukuk, he had a lot of help from Abacha Loot and all that. Okay, let's take this call. It's a missed call, pardon me, but try to call back and then we'll try to take Jide Ojo's final words with that as well. Jide Ojo.
So for Dave Umahi, engineer Dave Umahi is also just like Wike has done so much for his state. He has also come a long way in this Fourth Republic, from being a commissioner to being a party chairman to being two-time governor of Ebonyi State. I was in Ebonyi last September and I saw significant improvements in the state of infrastructure of Ebonyi State. In fact, I came in from the Cross River axis and came back to the Enugu axis, and I was quite impressed with what they was able to do with significant improvements in the infrastructure of Ebonyi State. But that is a state. Now he has the entire country 36-1 to fix the infrastructure. And that will mean a lot of resources which is not readily available. Because even Fashola said that he was owing, I don't know if my memory serves me right, he was owing trillions to contractors in the Ministry of Works, and no ministry will get up to 1 trillion. Not with this even bloated cabinets we now have. No ministry will be able to get anything significant and that will be the challenge. So you said Fashola got Sukuk Fund, got Abacha Loot, and several other multilateral and bilateral finance opportunities. I hope Dave Umai will be able to get that. Otherwise, maybe what will happen is tax, road tax, which has been mooted severally to see whether they can mobilize money from taxing the roads, tolling the roads, to be able to improve the infrastructure. But we wait to see the magic it could perform. But that's the more reason we don't need a bloated cabinet, because it's like somebody who has 1,000 naira and they initially has 10 children and decided to now have 25 children and the same salary of 1,000 naira. You can see that the quality of life will depreciate, will reduce. So I don't know, what they told us that 96% of our income is being used to service debt, and now we decided to have about over 50-member cabinet. So how would they get? How will any one of them get enough to be able to excel in their respective field? Because I don't know where the windfall will come from, except that we will continue to borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow. And as we borrow more, the money, the resources available to service our debt is exponentially increasing. So it's a catch-22 situation. Except you are able to block the leakages in government, particularly from government-owned agencies or government-owned enterprises, and then the oil theft in Niger Delta, if you can see an end to that, and we are able to now generate more resources, then that's when a day will have more resources to work. But situations like this, we are spending about 96% of our money to service debt. I don't know where they intend to get the resources to run this key cabinet that has been placed by President Tinubu.
All right. Thank you so much, Jide Ojo, for your contribution this evening. It's been most informative. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You have a great week.
All right, you too. And to you listening, you have the opportunity to call real quick 0700 010 961 961 0700 010 961 961. Let me know what exactly
your call cannot be completed due to insufficient.
Apologies for that. 0700 010 961 961. That is the number to call to be a part of this conversation. We just checked out Jide Ojo, who helped us break down this issue of the ministers, their portfolio, and what that would look like for the cabinet as a whole. And you know, he made some very, very valid points, talking about just how inflated the budget is going to be moving forward. Already we're seeing situations where some ministries are complaining about the monies, the budgets that are allotted to them as a whole generally. And then now we have more ministries. Just how are we going to fund the budget? Just how are we going to get the monies from? Already the debt profile is high. Are we going to have to borrow more to be able to make up for the budget deficits? What exactly are we going to do at this point in time? Still looking at the economy, the current state of the economy, fuel is high. Inflation is at the highest it's ever been. So just exactly how are we going to cope with this inflated cabinet that the president has gone ahead to inaugurate? Congratulations to the ministers as a whole, but how exactly are we going to fund them? That is the question on everyone's minds at this point in time. Hello to you and good evening. Have you turned off your radio?
Hello, good evening, ma.
Good evening to you.
I'm Mr. Daud. I'm calling from Maraba.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Okay. We have a law to, even if you have 15 minutes in this country, we have money. We have a lot of money to rule this country well. If they need to help us rule this country. What of mostly this Hausa man is talking about how many trillion, how many this thing say that if they are allowed to help us retreat from the military last time. What are they do up to now? So they are just going here and there, and they don't want to help this country. This country has no any decision to borrow money from any country. Or to borrow money from any decision. We have enough to take hold of this country. All the people that thief our money, let them bring them to book and they thief our money for us. They have enough to, even if now 50 ministry. Now, we have enough money to take rid this country. So those people that take our money, let them collect it for us.
All right.
I killed goats. When Tinubu won last time, I borrowed money to buy goats and kill for celebration. So Tinubu, they should not put me to shame. They should not put me to shame. Yeah, we have money in this country. This billion where they give 36 states, including federal capital. FCT. If you calculate this money, it's enough to take repair our refinery. Let this work come down. If this work come down, it's enough to help the country. If poor people are suffering, they are dying, we don't have gari to eat. They are giving 5 billion to governors. How can this money reach us?
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution this evening.
Thank you.
All right. That is his thoughts on this matter. Unfortunately, our time is fast spent on the show. We're a whole 13 minutes behind. But I have to take this call. If not, I know you are going to give me. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Speaker. Olajide from
Olajide, welcome.
You people are not consistent now. Try last week, I didn't know what happened. I will be waiting every week, but I don't know. But thank God for today.
Thank God for today. Go ahead.
Madam Speaker. Mr. Gidi Ojo has spoken brilliantly and he has spoken well. But there is one part I want us to understand. He talk about the age of Mr. President. He talk about the overbloated cabinet. And he asked, how are they going to get money with the level we are? Let me break it quickly because of that. Mr. President that is of 71, he understood the strength before he created those ministries. Are you getting me, Madam Speaker? If he doesn't have the strength, the capacity to move, he won't do it. But he has to tell you that the man knows what he's doing. Then secondly, for the number of ministries that is really created, Madam Speaker, if you look at those ministries, these are ministries that can generate a lot of trillions of naira for Nigeria. Provided, underline, those who created ministries are able to do the needful, that is in diligence, in doing the right thing, in making sure the money they will be getting does not go into private pockets. You might say, you know that the people are not they have less than. We cannot compare with everything. The peculiarity of the United States is partly different from that of Nigeria. In the United States of America, for years, the system is already there. For years. Are you getting me? So, on our own here, we have not been able to stand firmly on a particular system that will help them. We are still doing try and error. to get to where we are going. And on the issue of financing, I've just said it. If the newly created ministry, like not the ministry of blue something or water,
Marine and blue,
Madam Speaker, you can see that it's a multi-trillion naira ministry that can fetch the dollar money. But we need truthfulness, we need faithfulness, we need integrity of those people that have carried the responsibility of managing this ministry. Are you getting it? That is the only way we can move forward. And I have any doubt in me in this administration. Look at where it is going. Look at what we can do today. And what I see people are complaining only, they are complaining about the man saying what to demolish. But they didn't talk about other good things the man said that they talk about. But the one everybody is talking about today is he want to demolish. He talk about how Abuja is always dark at night. That means he's going to light the entire Abuja so that when you drive like from last road, sometimes it will be dark, you will not see anything. These are the things we are talking about. And just like this, I don't have said it. If you don't have any problem, there's no need for you to fear. If you have not been on green area, if you have not accepted the Abuja master plan, why should you be afraid? And I'm very sure, just the way the man did in River State, you see that there is seriousness in that man. Let's take it or do this. No matter whatever anybody says, the man is here to do his own bit. Don't forget, the right thing, his own footprint is here to tomorrow. And I'm very sure this very man will create his own footprint that will not be sense of time. I'm begging and I'm appealing to read the FCT residents that we should give this man cooperation and support him to give us the period of democracy. Just like Mr. Bino just said, the suburb areas, and I know it will work on those places too. But by the time they want to run there, don't forget, it will touch some people. Some building will go for roads, some construction will go for water systems, so many things will be affected. So that when those people are affected will not now come over here and start crying. In any development nation, there are those that will pay for it one way or the other in terms of inconvenience. So whatever we go through, let's just bear it. What we are expecting today, as we keep on moving in our democracy, there will be development. Our children, their own lifestyle will contribute to what we are experiencing now. Look at the way what happened in the education.
Thank you so much, Olajide. Thank you. All right, I think we can call it a wrap on the show this evening. It's been most informative. I hope you tune in to tomorrow's edition of What's Hot right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. My name is Gesire Agua. The other side of the evening rush continues after this break. Let's pay some bills.